You can hardly imagine how deeply the deception runs. It was never just about being taught to be polite. You were conditioned to amputate your own strength and call it virtue. You were trained to romanticize submission, to treat weakness as if it were a sign of goodness. Like a domesticated animal, you learned to wag your tail whenever disapproval appeared. A frown, a withdrawal of affection, a colder gaze. Suddenly you panic. You perform, you apologize, and you believe you are doing what a good man should do. Yet, as Nietzsche observed, the weak are always tempted to moralize their submission and disguise it as kindness. But that is not virtue. It is fear dressed up in noble clothing. You are not undone by cruelty. You are undone by your hunger to be loved. You betray yourself for a smile. You trade away your values for a fleeting kiss. You reshape your very soul to be less threatening, less masculine, less yourself. And then she leaves. Or worse, she stays but with no respect, because you have already shown her that your masculinity can be purchased, and the price is nothing more than her temporary withdrawal of warmth. Most men collapse under this pressure. They call it love, but it is only survival. They crave peace at any cost, even when the cost is the center of who they are. And when they are exploited, discarded, or deceived, they still return. Not out of strength, but out of addiction. Because without a spine, pain becomes the only anchor they know. Then she meets someone else. A man who does not collapse when affection is withdrawn. A man who refuses to negotiate his standards for the sake of her moods. A man who does not dance with weaponized silence or get trapped inside her emotional theater. The Stoic. The man who does not need her in order to feel real. And this terrifies her. Not because he is dangerous, but because he is immune. He cannot be programmed. He cannot be owned. He does not orbit her moods like a trained animal chasing approval. He is free. And in that freedom, she confronts something primal, something ancient. A man who no longer belongs to the psychological matrix she was taught to control. Nietzsche once wrote that the noble man is set apart by his lack of fear when staring into the abyss. The Stoic man has stared into that abyss. He has faced the void of abandonment and did not beg. He endured silence and did not crumble. He was unloved and did not lose the image of himself in the mirror, because he was forged by loss, not destroyed by it. He is not afraid to walk away, for he has already walked alone and found not despair, but strength. If these ideas speak to you, take a moment to subscribe. This channel is here to challenge, to question, and to push you deeper into philosophy and psychology. His solitude is not a prison, it is a fortress. He refuses disrespect, not because he is trying to prove something to her, but because he has already buried the version of himself that once tolerated it. He does not beg, he does not chase, he does not kneel before anyone who uses affection as a leash. He is not a servant to her recognition. He is the sovereign of his own soul. And that sovereignty unsettles her because most men break easily, withdraw warmth, and they whimper, raise your voice, and they shrink, threaten to leave, and they promise to change. But this man does nothing, he watches. And in that stillness, she sees her entire script collapse. The lines she rehearsed no longer land. The emotional buttons she has always pressed now produce silence, because this man has disconnected himself from her machine. He sees the game, and he refuses to play. You must understand something that modern culture will never tell you. The average man is not respected, he is managed. He exists in a twilight zone between usefulness and obedience. He is rewarded when he complies, tolerated when he submits, and quietly replaced the moment he questions. And yet, he continues to serve. Why? Because he has been conditioned to crave affection as if it were oxygen, to treat validation as proof that he is real. Nietzsche warned us that the man who lacks the strength to stand alone will remain a slave forever. Most men today are slaves, and they call it love. They give away their vision, their principles, their time, and their voice, hoping to purchase peace. And for a moment, it seems to work. She smiles, she softens, she opens her heart. But hidden beneath that warmth is a velvet trap. Because behind every gesture of affection lies an unspoken contract. You must be predictable, agreeable, moldable. The moment you assert something she does not like, the contract dissolves. And most men, terrified of emotional exile, rush back into place. The Stoic man does not. He is not afraid of exile, because he has lived there and discovered that solitude with truth is better than companionship with self-betrayal. He does not shrink to make her comfortable. He does not lie for her approval. He does not dilute himself just to be allowed near. He does not seek acceptance. He seeks wholeness. And in that wholeness lies a kind of authority that cannot be borrowed, bought, or stolen. And that, more than power, wealth, or charm, is what unsettles her most about his presence. It means she has no control. She cannot dictate the rhythm of the relationship with silence. She cannot summon his attention by withholding her body. She cannot bend his frame with guilt or emotional theater. For the first time, she faces a man who sees her clearly and yet remains unmoved. Nietzsche once wrote that the most dangerous way to harm an ideal is to defend it with false arguments. In the realm of modern masculinity, the ideal is your strength, and the false arguments are everywhere. They tell you that strength is cruelty, that boundaries are abuse, that stoicism is repression. But those are lies, designed to keep you dependent. A man who no longer requires approval is a man who cannot be controlled. The Stoic man has dismantled those false arguments within himself. He has discovered the truth, that peace without power is submission, that compassion without clarity is weakness, that love without respect is slow suicide. And because he knows this, he no longer engages in emotional games. He does not argue with absurdity. He does not explain his silence. He does not validate what violates his soul. He simply withdraws, calmly and decisively. In that moment, he triggers something most women have never felt: the panic of losing access to a man who does not need them. Do not mistake this for cruelty. Most modern relationships are not built on mutual respect, but on emotional leverage. And the Stoic man, by his very presence, dismantles that unspoken economy. She is used to winning by default. But now, for the first time, she must earn him. Not with beauty, not with tears, not with temporary compliance, but with truth. And very few can do that. She is not accustomed to being measured. She is accustomed to being pursued, admired the instant she enters a room, crowned before she has spoken a word. She is accustomed to men surrendering before being asked, men offering loyalty before considering her character, men lowering their standards in exchange for a smile. But the Stoic man offers no crown. He does not glorify what he does not respect, and she feels the weight of that. It destabilizes her, because he is not seeking someone to redeem him. He seeks someone who has already redeemed herself. And here, she encounters what Nietzsche described when he wrote that what is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil. The Stoic man loves, but not under the conditions society has scripted, not according to the rules she was raised to expect. He loves without submission, without distortion, without sacrificing himself. And that kind of love is more dangerous than rejection, because it demands that she become more than she has ever been. Most men lower themselves in order to earn a woman's trust. The Stoic man remains at his height and challenges her to rise. And this is why she trembles. Because most men crave access. But this man does not crave, he guards. He guards his time, his values, his direction. Most of all, he guards his emotional world. Not with fear, but with reverence. His emotions are not up for exploitation. They must be earned. His intimacy is a privilege, not a reward. He is not emotionally distant. He is emotionally disciplined. And that discipline is a form of masculinity she has never encountered. It does not beg. It does not impress. It does not perform. It simply exists with strength, insisting she either step into it correctly or walk away. Nietzsche once said, "You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, the only way, it does not exist." This is how the Stoic man lives. He does not strive to be perfect, he strives to be authentic. And because he is authentic, he cannot be bought. Not with beauty, not with flattery, not with promises of love laced with manipulation. He sees the truths she tries to conceal. He sees her need for control dressed up as vulnerability, her tests disguised as affection, her chaos masked as passion. And he names it, not with words, but with refusal. He does not participate. He does not reward it. He does not bend, because he is not here to soothe her nervous system. He is here to protect his own. This is what sets him apart. While other men empty themselves in exchange for approval, he remains intact. While others dilute their essence to be chosen, he holds his ground and chooses. He is not searching for escape through a woman's acceptance. He is not negotiating for validation. He is anchored in himself, and that anchor cannot be pulled loose by moods or threats or silent withdrawals. In his presence, the entire balance of power shifts. For the first time, she is confronted with the reality that intimacy must be mutual, that respect must be earned both ways, that love without strength is not love at all. While other men bend themselves to her approval, he bends himself only to his mission, and she realizes, often without a single word, that she is not the center of his universe. His purpose is. If she cannot align with that purpose, she will be left behind, not with anger, but with an unflinching precision. This is the true emotional earthquake, not his rage, not his dominance, but his consistency, his identity that will not shift under pressure. She throws everything at him: withdrawal, drama, silence, seduction. Yet he does not move, because he has already decided what kind of man he will be. And no woman, no matter how beautiful or desired, will rewrite that definition. That is what shakes her, not his cruelty, but his completeness. The most terrifying mirror a woman can face is not glass. It is a man who sees her clearly and does not waver. Every illusion she was raised to believe, every social signal she was trained to exploit, every maneuver that worked on dozens of men dies in his presence. Manipulation collapses, performances disintegrate, masks fall, and for the first time she is confronted with a question too heavy to bear. What can I offer a man who cannot be seduced? She expects to be worshipped for her beauty, but he does not value beauty apart from behavior. She expects him to chase, but he will not pursue what does not move toward him with grace. She expects to be the gravity in the relationship, but she realizes he orbits nothing except his own truth. Nietzsche once wrote that the individual must always struggle not to be overwhelmed by the crowd. If you try, you will often be lonely, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. That is precisely what she feels now, the presence of a man who owns himself completely. She has no power over him, not because he is closed, but because he is ordered. He does not need her to confirm who he is. His masculinity does not tremble under her disapproval. He can love her fully, but he will never beg to be loved in return. He will never trade his identity for her affection. And in that stance, he becomes something most women have never truly encountered before. A man who is emotionally present, yet untouchable, in the psychological sense, forces her to confront herself. For the first time, she must ask, can I meet this man's standard without playing games? Can I stand in my truth without tactics? Can I give without expecting control in return? Most cannot, because they have never been required to. They have lived surrounded by men who collapse under pressure, men who confuse affection with self-erasure, men who hand over their crown in exchange for comfort. But this man, the Stoic man, does not trade. He gives, and when his gift is not honored, he withdraws it with finality. No explanations, no negotiations, no extended drama. He does not warn, he does not threaten. He simply vanishes, leaving her alone with a self that has never been tested. Nietzsche warned that the greatest danger in life is not pain, but comfort that numbs you into mediocrity. The Stoic man does not offer such comfort. He brings pressure, not through shouting or force, but by existing at a level of emotional clarity and internal order that exposes every falsehood around him. And she feels it. She feels the silent pressure of being near someone who does not need her to feel strong, who does not ask her permission to stand tall, who does not flatter her fears or inflate her ego just to keep her close. This man is a reckoning. He is a philosophical confrontation, a storm of honesty that walks into her life carrying a single demand: be real or depart. He does not deliver ultimatums. He does not set traps. He simply holds his frame, and the world either aligns with it or breaks against it. The Stoic man does not rewrite the rules. He reveals them. He reveals that most love is not love at all, but power disguised as affection. He reveals that most relationships are not built on truth, but on hidden threats. If you do not make me feel what I want, I will withdraw. That is the real contract. A contract signed in silence, with pride as the currency. Yet the Stoic man burns that contract the moment he arrives. He refuses any love that comes with chains. He does not bow to moods or exchange his respect for approval. He has chosen something higher than affection. He has chosen himself. And that choice, Nietzsche tells us, is the beginning of all true power. Because you cannot call yourself free if your peace can be purchased with approval. You cannot call yourself strong if your standards collapse at the touch of silence. You cannot call yourself a man if your emotional state must be supervised by another. The Stoic man embodies this reality, and in his presence, the illusions of modern love fall away, leaving only the question of whether she can rise to meet what is real. The Stoic man has already walked through every test. He has seen tears weaponized as chains. He has seen affection dangled like bait. He has seen intimacy turned into a tool, and silence rehearsed like theater to provoke him. None of it works anymore, because he has pierced the mask. Nietzsche warned that whoever fights monsters must be careful not to become a monster, and if you gaze long into the abyss will gaze back into you. The Stoic man has done exactly that. He has stared into the black hole of emotional dependence. He has faced the weaker version of himself who once begged, twisted, bent, and bled for what was never truly love. And he killed that version without ritual and without regret. He does not hate her. He has simply evolved beyond her control, and now she sees it. This man does not flinch at her anger. He does not panic at her distance. He does not dance when she explodes. He simply holds steady, not cold, not cruel, but utterly focused. That kind of presence shakes her at the core because it speaks without words. I am not here for your chaos. I am here for truth. Meet it, or I will leave. She is no longer the gravity in the room. She is no longer the prize. She is no longer the puppeteer tugging strings of guilt and desire. She is simply a soul standing in front of another soul. And for the first time, her tricks fail. Now she has only two choices: rise or retreat. Nietzsche would call this the moment of self-overcoming, the moment when she must surrender manipulation and step through the fire of truth to stand beside a man who will not bend. Few ever do, because truth is costly, and most would rather cling to control than risk the death of their false identity. This is why the Stoic man is feared, not because he is merciless, but because he makes transformation or departure the only options. No gray zones, no half-truths dressed up as love. Not here, not with him. Most men you meet are either trying to be accepted or trying to be understood. They are selling something: kindness, loyalty, patience, charm, hoping to purchase a seat at a table that was never set for them. But the Stoic man does not sell. He does not wait to be chosen. He does not adjust his worth to meet a demand. He is the table. He does not chase. He summons, not through arrogance, but through alignment. His life is not a resume of qualities offered for approval. It is a presence, a gravity, a structure that speaks for itself, and only those willing to live in truth can stand within it. In the end, the Stoic man stands apart because he chooses himself above all else. He does not trade truth for comfort or respect for affection. He can walk away without bitterness and love without chains. His life is proof that real strength is not in domination or submission, but in ownership of the self. And that is the rarest power of all.